What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon
What's up? What's up?
and Chris Abacon.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? So, welcome back to the podcast. So, we are syndicated on WDJY 99.1 FM in the Atlanta metro area on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. So, we catch you right in rush hour traffic, as well as your podcast platform of choice. You can also catch us on video on both YouTube and now Spotify. But without further ado, I'll give it to you, Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this first article comes from the record.media, written by Jonathan Grieg. And the title of this one is New Jersey Men Given Lengthy Sentences for Running North Korean Laptop Farms. And we've done a story on this, right? Where we talked about those laptop farms and how North Korea was getting these jobs at American companies and how it was going about. And they go into a little bit more detail in the article about how this was being accomplished. Two men that got arrested or indicted. I'm not even going to try to say their names. I know I'm the attempt to say every name guy, but I'm gonna leave these two be. They got arrested and indicted, right? And they got their sentences, right? So at 42 and 39, they're looking at 8 and close to 8 years in jail now. And what was weird about this was, as I was reading the article, they started talking about more people that were involved in this that don't necessarily live in the United States that they're out there looking for, right? But one of them was actually a U.S. soldier that was sentenced, right? An Army soldier that got sentenced, which was kind of weird. But I mean, with as many eyes as you have on you in the United States Department of Defense, you figure you wouldn't be able to do this. But like the two guys that got their indictment, they were for crimes that were committed from 2001 to 2004. This U.S. soldier actually was running this scheme since September of 2019 until November of 2022. So it goes even farther back than the 2021 for these two that got caught up. And this soldier, this 35-year-old Alexander Paul Travis was his name, was an active duty member, past tense, right? There's no way he's keeping his job. But he when he got in trouble, it turns out he knowingly knew his identity was being used and was allowing for it. So I was like, that's a little crazy, right? Because like I figure if you were going to do something, you'd do like these other two did, and they would help get other identities, not using their own. But yeah, this guy was using his own identity, and it was kind of weird. They said that for his role in the scheme, he received $51,397, but he was ordered to forfeit $193,265, which is what the North Koreans earned using his name, right? So even though he wasn't paid that much, but like this is what you owe us for these North Koreans that were using your information. But yeah, he was doing a good bit of work with the North Koreans back in 2019. Neither here nor there. That one just interested me because he was in active duty at the time, an active duty U.S. soldier. But the other two, yeah, one of them even took trips to China in 2023, right? There was two cities that he went to try to set all this up. Crime, sometimes it pays, sometimes it doesn't, right? Like for the six figures that they made, now they got some forfeitures that are also in the six figures for them to give back and pay back to the government along with prison time. So, Chris, what's your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I think, first off, like what really caught my attention with the details of this article is that these guys, the group actually stole 80 citizens' identities and provided them to North Koreans. So either, from my understanding, right, like I've seen, deceased people's identities being stolen, or people's identities being stolen through just general adversarial means, right? Just however that works. But I'm not sure as to the level of detail and accuracy that they need to have identity stolen. Maybe it has to be like Korean names or that they're working on. Maybe it's just social security numbers that they could, on the back end, like forge and make new documents up. I'm not sure, but I think that's very interesting how this was happening for essentially 2024 to make sure that, these employees, quote unquote, get some type of American identity ID, and it's just, to me, I mean, this seems more complicated than originally thought, right? I mean, clearly they had some backing with the nation state that could actually forge these documents very well. I mean, maybe AI wasn't as good back in when did it come out? 2022, 2023, right?
Yeah, that's like the early AI, like definitely didn't seem like it would be good enough, right? Like,
Yeah, but again, for the listeners, the idea was for these U.S. citizens, or some of these U.S. citizens, that they had keyboards and host them at their homes, connecting their laptops to their key VM switches that allowed them to control these devices remotely, right? Very, very interesting. Just it's just very complicated. So in my head, I'm like, okay, what can a company do to prevent this from happening? Obviously, there is, a proper background check, make sure you actually have a legitimate background check and identity proofing process. A lot of the times now, that's a third party, right? It's funny. It's an outsourced third party. Funny, which is funny enough, like a checker or some type of, there's a lot of HR platforms that do this for you on their behalf, and you pay it. It's all that good stuff. And additionally, nowadays, it's like, hey, I would like to see you in person, right? I would like to see you in person. Remote work is still a thing, right? Obviously, one of the things I think, for companies that, maybe they want to hire more locally, or again, I understand, certain jobs demand certain levels of types of skills, but that's one way to prove it, right? And another one is, hey, if they're using AI, like, make sure they're put their hands in front of their face, or do all the do all the funny things that you've seen. But yeah, I think overall, I think it's a very complicated scheme. I mean, obviously, it's well planned. It was probably a long term thing from the North Koreans, right? They wanted to see how far they could infiltrate into our, I would say, economy information systems. But again, this is just one isolated incident, right? That were caught, right? Imagine again, there could be very potentially other things like this that's currently happening right now without our knowledge. So just keep that in mind, guys.
so
So
so here's what I'll say though. So here's how I think they got away with more of it. So this army soldier I was talking about, he was going and he was doing the urinalysis. I might be saying that wrong. I don't know how you would say that in plural, but he was doing the urinalysis. He was doing the interview. So maybe they have, like, for the 80 identities they have, they might have had people that were in person and were volunteering their identities. I'm not gonna say that for sure, right?
yeah, that's
Because they
interesting.
haven't found them all. But like, he was going and doing the in-person stuff, right? Which makes it even worse that he only got 53,000 for this, for doing it for all those years.
Right.
I'm like, come
He's
on,
putting in
man,
the
get his
most
back
effort.
out. Yeah, you did the most work.
I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
you could have started a side hustle or something and done the same thing legally, and you'd not be
Yeah,
in jail or something. And you still have your job. You could have done Amazon drop shipping. That was a thing, you know?
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so I mean, for all we know, because they haven't gotten this far into the cases, right? Like, there could be 80 people that are just using their real identities and doing the same thing. They got a laptop farm, they're setting up KVMs, they're just letting them have access to stuff. That's how you get the foot in the door, and then let North Korea do the rest. Can't say for sure. We don't know.
And this is different than one we covered in the past, where it was a lady. She was like in the middle of the heartland with a bunch of laptops, again, hooked up as a I can't say it, laptop, there it is, farm in her home. And when they raided it, they found all these laptops that she was connecting in order to, switch over North Koreans to American ISPs without lag or delay and things of that nature. So I guess it's done differently in different places. But she was given some time too, as well as the recouping of money. I say what the craziest part of it all, though, is how model citizens they are when they are doing the work, right? They're like some of the best employees as they quickly infiltrate and start to siphon off intelligence and IP, but they work hard. So and and they are skilled enough to get some really high positions as well. So it does kind of boggle the mind. I would say this one was way more sophisticated than the last one we talked about, but still there's telltale signs, right? When it comes to lag and delay and just oddities. Like deepfakes are getting really good. Like I saw one the other day where you can actually do the thing where you go across your face and it doesn't blur, as well as you can change lighting sources. So they're getting really good at deepfakes. But I am with Chris. Like I think the process could be mitigated to a certain extent by like maybe doing in-person interviews and things of that nature. Like my job, my first civilian job, they flew me out to do the interview. It was fairly inexpensive, right? To bring somebody out to interview them, to meet them in person before you set them, on a course for remote work. I just fear that this is just another excuse by your big corporations I won't name on here who are trying to get people to return to office for various reasons, right? Like to say, like, oh, it's better for mentorship. Oh, it's better for communication. It's better for efficiency. Now they can say, oh, well, it's keeping us from losing money due to deep fakes and fake employees. So I think it does give them just more ammunition to bring us back home.
Well,
No, thank you.
yeah. I think they benefited from COVID. Like if you look at the time frame, right? Like you were not going to have it to where they were flying people out all the time, right? Like
Right.
it was one of those things where even when it came to the airlines, like they weren't fully booking planes like early on, right? Because like I said, the Army Soldier was 2019 was when his started, and these guys, their crimes were from 2021 to 2024, and I realized there was a point where it got better when it came to travel and things of that nature. I mean, these companies were probably all too comfortable just being like, hey, we could do it from the comfort of our homes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
And what we knew
definitely.
about AI then is not what we know now, too, right? Like, so what they may have been able to pull off, it may not look like Will Smith eating the spaghetti or whatever it was that that deep fake they had, may not have looked that bad back then.
Yeah, I think also that's a good point with COVID. Everybody was just starting using Zoom, Teams or whatever the hell they're using. So to them it was like, oh, this is the brand spanking new technology, right? Whatever. So they just almost like they trusted everything that they saw on these platforms. So there's that.
Yeah, definitely. And they've become more sophisticated since then, right? Like we discussed, we went over the topic of Amazon and how they're able to use input lag as a tool to figure out like, oh, you're not where you're supposed to be, regardless of how good your VPN is. So there are tools. I just again I fear because I am paranoid. Like, don't return me to office. I'm real. I'm a real person. All right. But without further ado, I'll give it to you, Shannon.
How do we know unless we see you more often?
That's true. That's true. I'm about to fly you out to Tampa to a session. I'm gonna fly you out too, Chris, even though you're only a drive away.
Right. I mean, I might as well be like, you're probably like an hour away from me. Tampa's an hour
Right.
away from Tampa. It's basically New Atlanta, right?
Next article comes from TechCrunch.com, written by Lorenzo Franceschi Bicchiari. And the title of this one is Booking.com confirms hackers access customers' data. So we got another hack here, right? They confirm, and what gets me in these articles, I started noticing this more and more, right? Is that they say that they may have accessed, certain things, right? And that's what they say in this one. May have accessed customers' full data, including names, email addresses, phone numbers, and booking details. And Booking.com is big, right? We've seen the commercials. They got all the stars out there doing it for them, right? So it was really users' posts on Reddit that kind of brought attention to it, where they were talking about, I got this letter that said, hey, we're writing to inform you that unauthorized third parties may have been able to access certain booking information associated with your reservation, right? Now, Booking.com is out there saying, hey, it's only this information. And they say it as if the information they have is not important and not relevant, right? Like this is one of those things where we realize we put our email out there for everything, right? But it's one of those things where it leads to the second and third order effects, right? As Ryan says, the second and third order effects that come about from that, right? And it started happening because somebody um, for the article was talking about how they got a WhatsApp message that they were trying to confirm booking details and personal information. And so hackers are leveraging this information that people seem to think is not that important anymore, right? But it really is. Now, what kind of got me as I read this was the message from the company included the aforementioned types of compromised data, right? So the booking information, names, email, all that, as well as, and they have in quote, anything that you may have shared with the accommodation, right? Now, this is what gets me, right? So anything you may have shared with the accommodation. So even though you use booking.com, if the hotel or whatever may have reached out to you, there may have been information you gave to them, right? That may have been affected as well, right? You may have put a credit card down to reserve stuff or do whatever, right? So that's also something to look out for because you may have given that information out. But yeah, it's every week. I don't think it's one of those things where I don't want to become when you desensitize to seeing these types of articles, right? Because it's one of those things where the information is our we say to ourselves it's already out there, in these other breaches that may have happened and things like that. And it's like I don't want us to get a laissez-faire attitude about it to where we're just whatever. But Booking.com, that's a big one, right? They even mentioned in the article. I want to make sure I get the number right. I want to say it's 6.8 billion, but I'm gonna try to find it. According to the company's website, 6.8 billion customers have booked hotel rooms and homes since 2010. I'm not saying 6.8 billion people were affected, but if they know that number, they have that information somewhere. It may have been readily accessible, right? So just be on the lookout, folks, that may have used Booking.com to do reservations, at least since 2010. We're talking 16 years now. But Chris, what's your thoughts on this?
Really, the thing, I thought at first this was like a general hack, right? Of Booking.com. Hackers got their data, and then I read at the very end of the article, like closer to the end, where a spokesperson, Courtney Camp from Booking.com, said that noted suspicious activity involving unauthorized third parties being able to access some of our guests' booking information. Unauthorized third parties, right? For me, my red flags instantly come up with the word third parties. So what type of third party risk management is happening at Booking.com, right? They are a third party when you think about it as well, right? Like you decide to book through I think Booking.com and Expedia, these types, what they do is they're just online travel agencies, right? They've got an aggregate massive database of hotel flights and everything that's available to them. Obviously, there's different types of organizations that provide information to them via first party or third party, right? It could be directly from the vendor or airline, whatever, or through another third party, right? So I imagine that it's very complicated. These are huge organizations, huge online travel organizations that have complicated schemes, right? When it comes to actually acquiring, the database or whatever that might be of those flights. So I'm thinking maybe it was, it's totally possible that it was out of Booking.com's purview. Like it was totally, it's a complete possibility because if a third party isn't doing, if a third party that's trusted to do a certain part of their job and they're, breached in some regard, right? Then it's also possible that, you could get, your information breached. Now, what's interesting though is I went into the Reddit post, right? And I think the Reddit post for this said that the breach didn't indicate if it included stuff like credit card information and things like that. So that makes me think like, oh, maybe the credit card information was processed at the Booking.com layer, and whatever system they use to provide payment or do the fulfillment process with a third party and hotel, that's kind of safe. But the fact that there's information on there, it's still personal information, it's still addresses. It's bad, right? It is a breach of PII, right? But again, first, third party, fourth party, fifth party risk management. It's a tough job. It's hard to get a grasp of what your vendor is doing unless you specifically ask your vendor in a contract, right? When you provide me services, you have to guarantee, right, per contractual obligation that you are meeting these privacy and cybersecurity requirements at least, right? And that's a tough thing to ask for a ton of vendors. It's a very difficult, and in fact, that's a job in itself, and a lot of only big organizations can scale to do that kind of job. So again, it's very complicated, but yeah, it's third party risk. It's the hotness.
And that last point you make, like it, it's it's inevitable that anybody you deal with online, it is not just their company. They always tie into somebody else, to include your financial organizations, right? I don't know if you guys have ever done it before, where you may have logged onto your financial institution, and like there will link to like something else, or you'll have something else that may want to link to your financial institution, and it's just like, bro, like it is so intertwined now, and it's for our convenience. We asked for it. Let's be honest, right? Like we asked for this. We want the convenience of everything that it can provide. And this is what comes with that, right? Like them not necessarily taking the time to verify everybody's doing their part, right? It's just like an enterprise setup, right? The weakest link will allow somebody to get in there and like take advantage, even though you may have all these different things that you're like, yeah, we have this setup, but somebody's
Mhm.
clicked on that link, you know what I mean, to allow them in the door. So
Yeah. If you've ever gotten a number on WhatsApp or whatever, and it's from like a plus random country code, your information's out there. Sorry, you're. I'm not gonna say you're cooked, but it's out there, right? It's
tell them the truth,
numbers.
Chris. Just put it out
Yeah.
there. Tell them
If
the
you
truth.
got if you ever if you get ever said you get a hello from like you get this pretty profile picture and it's like random area code, go into there and you can actually see what the country of origin is. Like maybe just look at the profile. Like probably somewhere in it's Nigeria. It could be like Brazil, whatever it might be. That's not. It's not real.
You telling me I'm not going to get that $1 million that the Nigerian prince promised me?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, no, I think you bring up a lot of really good points, Chris, as well as Shannon, right? When it comes to this, I like to look at it two ways, right? Like, so it's like a Russian nesting doll when it comes to who these companies own and how they don't advertise it, right? So I did a quick look up to see who does Booking.com own, right? Because when you go to figure out like your best prices, like I'm not a Booking.com person, I'm Travelocity, so I was like, I wonder if they're owned by the same people, and they're not. However, a lot of people you think are separated are not. So Booking Holdings includes Booking.com, Priceline, Agoda, Kayak, Momondo, Rentalcars.com, Open Table, which I do use, Cheap Flights, Hotels Combined, and Rocket Miles. So those are all first party because they're all owned by this holding company. So when you think you're searching for like, oh, I'm getting a better price here or there, it's the same company, right? And then, because I use Expedia and Travelocity when I do mine, and I found out they're owned by the same company. So Expedia Group owns Hotels.com, Orbitz, Travelocity, Hotwire, Trivago, HomeAway, Watif, and CarRentals.com. So it's all a shell game, right? But I bring that up because, like, again, like those are all first parties. So let's say that if you were breached by one, and we don't know this to be true, but if they're all first party, they could all be suffer from the same vulnerability.
That's true, Ryan. But also consider, right? Like clearly, Booking Holdings is like they've acquired these names and brands over a period of time. So I I I think they operationally that they might still be separated, right? From a management standpoint. So
Which could be true, but
right.
so when you
But because like
yeah.
if Booking Doc or what is it? Let's say if like they said kayak, right? If kayak is
Hmm.
breached, I wouldn't necessarily think that the rest of us. So think about it from like for listeners, they might not be in that same bucket. Like every organization has their own little bucket, but still reports to obviously the Booking Holdings
with right.
masters up there,
Right.
right?
Which may be true, but I have seen job advertisements for like Netflix where during their M&A they have a process where they standardize every company to the same standard as Netflix. So it depends upon the company, I guess. So
Yeah, that's true.
you could be true, but what you're saying could be true, or if they're big enough, like again, Netflix is a trillion dollar company, right? So they could say everyone has to be raised to the bar of, you know, Netflix propers. Again, I just put it out there, right? Devil's advocate.
Yeah.
But I think the other bucket of that is, like you said, TPRM, right? Third party risk management, which I find fascinating. So I dabble in it a little bit from a risk perspective for my organization, but I'm not a TPRM member. I'm a risk manager, second line oversight, right? So it's a little bit different. But I always find it fascinating that when you're thinking you're working or when you're thinking like when you access, let's say, a website and you land on that page, I always find it interesting how some of that is actually owned by the first party, but a lot of other of these applications that you're going through, let's say you're logging into a bank, right? A lot of those other applications that you're logging into are third parties that are being white labeled, right? They're providing a service to the bank, and when you click through that portal, you're being taken elsewhere to do certain things, right? So, like you said, is direly important for in a third party risk management perspective to have an SLA MOU that covers their RPOs, RTOs for if we are impacted in some way, right, from a disaster recovery, business continuity, or service continuity perspective, that you are secured to a certain baseline as well as you have a recovery time objective, recovery point objective to get back up and running fairly quickly. Because from a user perspective, I don't care what I clicked. I clicked it through you, and then I'm being impacted in a certain way. So I will be, upset at the bank, or I'll be upset at, in this case, Booking.com, even though whatever I am trying to use or source or whatever's been compromised is a third party, fourth party, or so on and so forth. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that, I tried to access you and I've been impacted in a certain way. So I always found that to be interesting, right? Because you don't really think of the third party, fourth party, fifth party, but they are very important to your supply chain, right? When it comes to providing services and things of that nature.
And you gotta hope they're doing what they actually say they'll do in the MOU. And I realize the MOU is not, it doesn't have processes written into it, right? Like that's gonna be later on and deeper into the company, right? It's just saying, hey, this is what we understand it to be, or SLA, right? Your service level agreements, same type of thing. But you have to hope they're doing what they say they're going to do, right? Because we've seen it where like these cyber insurance companies have been like, no, we're not going to cover you because you weren't doing what you said you were doing or that you were supposed to do.
Yeah,
So
we asked you to do these 12 things and you're only doing like 8. So
yeah,
you're out of luck.
yeah, we ain't covering you. We're not going to make you whole on this one. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's it's yeah, very fascinating. And to a certain extent, like you would hope that from a company standpoint, you've asked them for their policies, right? Like I need to see your, your information security policy, your cyber risk policy, your acceptable use policies, things of that nature, and artifacts, right? Prove to me, right? Trust but verify that you are doing these things. But it just depends on the scale of the company. Like if I'm a small mom and pop, I can't ask Microsoft for these things. Or I could, but they'd be like, get out of here. Or vice versa.
Luckily, like a lot of the bigger organizations, they have, like a trust center. They'll have like their certifications, privacy framework, whatever, on some type of trust center. So those are from like the big IT organizations or whomever, big organizations that can afford to do that. Some of the medium, the smaller size businesses, I promise you, they don't have that capacity simply because that stuff can be pricey from an operational perspective. So just really consider, I'm not saying, hey, go only use massive companies, right? Because we all know that, like I would say the lifeblood of American business is, small, medium sized organizations, right? They provide a lot of unique services that big companies just can't, right?
It's very true. So yeah, it really is. You have to manage your risk, which is very difficult, especially from a small business perspective. Yeah, I found this interesting article, and all of you people out there using Booking.com, be on the lookout for potential, like two other handsome gentlemen on the show have said, messages and emails and things of that nature. But I give it to you, Shannon, for the discussion.
this next one comes from darkreading.com by Robert Lamos, and the title of this one is Coast Guard's new cybersecurity rules offers lessons for CISOs. So CISOs is in CISOs, right? But they mentioned another CISO type in here that I was like, I've never even seen this term, like a cybersecurity officer, CYSO. I didn't know that was a thing, and maybe that's just me working in DoD. I was like, I've never seen the term. But the Maritime Transportation Security Act (MTSA) requires plans to protect OT systems, audits by independent third parties, and a hybrid OT security role. So are you telling me we have not been doing this before? This is what I come across all the time. This is where you guys keep me grounded in what's really going on out there, right? But this is the Coast Guard, right? Department of Homeland Security. I figured before now they'd have their first ever mandatory cybersecurity framework reports vessels and offshore facilities, right? Like, why have we not done this before now, right? Why have we not done this? Like, we knew this could be a problem, even though I realized cybersecurity was not that big an issue back then. But we realized this after 9/11, right? Like, this is how the Department of Homeland Security stood up, right? Because it was like the very next year. When DHS started up? 2022, 2002, something like that. It was not
Something
too
like that.
long after
Yeah, it
9/11,
was
right?
right.
That prompted it. So the fact that the Coast Guard falls up under that, it's like, hey, you knew there were vulnerabilities to these things long before that. But I digress, right? Before I get too heated on this, but the regulations they affect any U.S. flag vessel and maritime facility subject to the MTSA Act of 2002. So that's what leads me to believe it's 2002 with the whole DHS thing. And it requires that they develop, maintain a cybersecurity plan, designate a cybersecurity officer, that's the CYSO we were talking about, conduct annual assessments, and train any information and operational technology workers on their cybersecurity duties. So again, how are we just now getting to the point where this is mandatory, right? Like, and again, I know it's because I see it all the time and have seen it forever. My assumption is that this is done, and I realize that the Coast Guard doesn't necessarily fall under the Department of Defense, and they fall under the DHS, right? I am correct on that, right? Or am I wrong on that? I think that's accurate.
They do.
Right.
Yeah, they fall under her. Yeah, DHS, and then they'll slide over, and if needed for
Interdictions and stuff like that. Yeah, I have heard that, but uh, neither here nor there. They fall under DHS, so this should have been something they should have been doing long ago, right? And so it, the fact that they're doing what other industries have already been doing for a while and what they are actually looking at when it comes to ports and things of that nature, a little discerning to me. But this is low hanging fruit for them, right? Like this is
you're
okay.
gonna be
Let's
you're
make this mandatory.
gonna be really sad in a minute because
Yeah,
That is not the case. They're not like no one's caught up.
Yeah, the article kind of. I'll be honest, it pissed me off a little bit. I'm like, how are we not here already, right? Like, um, with what they are tasked to do, right? What we've asked them to do. But Chris, let me pass it off to you, man. What's your thoughts on this?
I think they have been doing it, right? It might just be one of those weird things where they have a title associated or some type of operational position associated with cybersecurity, right? So on a Navy ship, you have like the six, right? You have the communications officer, right? And you've got the IT shop that really does all the cybersecurity stuff, right? It's just like you got a six shop, their help desk, they're everything. They're all in one, right? They do everything associated with IT and cybersecurity on like a destroyer or something. Now on a carrier, you might have like a cybersecurity analyst on there, like while they're deployed and that's monitoring some type of SIM or whatever else, Splunk and stuff like that. So I think that it's been done right. It's being, at least like you said, Shannon, I think it's been, obviously it's been a thing, right, for a long time. But I think that having an officer around there that's, specialized and has, that visibility on the cybersecurity end that can accurately report it to the captain or the leadership, right, with the cybersecurity lens, not just I'm the communications officer in charge of everything, right? Because that's usually on a smaller ship. That's an ensign. That's a O1 or O2, right?
But
So
you're mentioning it for the Navy, which is Department of Defense, right? Like that's my point.
correct.
Like, I know the DoD is doing it. Like
Yes.
these guys, Coast Guard, and I know sometimes the Navy takes them up under their wing, depending on what they're doing, right?
I think they would have to be doing it already because they're using 853 something. They have to be using 853. And that's 853 for listeners, a controls framework, right? That the government uses extensively, and there's certain baselines to it. I'm more than willing to bet DHS has a certain control baseline, or even Coast Guard has its own control baseline, or they use DoDs, right? Who knows? That said, part of those controls are malicious code protection within systems information integrity, right? Risk assessment, stuff like that in the RA domain. That has, to me, it's just probably being done. These are people at the front lines of, protecting the country, right? So I imagine, in my opinion, I think it's just like an operational, like, visibility shift where, hey, we need somebody to take credit for this stuff. Kamo is swamped, right? That's my opinion, right? That's kind of where I'm at with this. I just think they have more visibility on the cyber side because we were all like six shop guys, right? Or IT shop guys, right? We had an idea. We knew about incidents because we were at the front lines of incident response. There's a virus here. Oh, we got to go over there and quarantine the freaking device, right? That's what we did. But what's at the back end of that? Who is managing the actual alerts? We had that, in the Navy, had NMCI, right? That's like the Navy Marine Corps intranet, and they had a network operations center or something like that on that monitored that stuff. I would hope. But in the Air Force, what was that component? What was the cybersecurity component in the Air Force? And what I think is happening is that they're bringing that level of expertise into the wardroom or whatever, the officer's room, whatever you want to call it, the mess. At that regard for the visibility. Those are kind of my 2 cents. I think it's been happening. I hope. We'll see. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think when it comes to the rigor and the codifying these things, like the military's where it's at, right? Whether it be the federal government or the Department of Defense, Department of War, whatever you want to call it, proper. But when it comes to cutting edge technology that's coming from the private sector, right? Because there's this pressure to produce the latest and greatest for money, profit, right? To keep the ball rolling. And I think what we're starting to see is the lines in between. So when we were in the military, things moved fairly slow when it came to upgrades and pushing out patches and all, so on and so forth. Like we were very laborious when it came to these things just to make sure that, Microsoft or whomever had patched this thing to, the greatest extent possible. And I always felt as though it was slowing us down, not knowing how good it was when it came to documentation, implementation, execution. You could actually cut things off because we're not a for-profit, organization. So you can be like, hey, you guys can't fly. or whatever. Like that was few and far between. But you guys cannot operate because your network is a mess. So we need to go fix this. And then you saw SCADA come in probably around 2015 or so. ICS and SCADA, like we were starting to protect our water, our power, our so on and so forth much better. Conversely, on the outside, all that's profit driven, right? Like I'm not going to do anything unless the government makes me, which will cause me to have a fine or some other kind of punitive punishment, or if for whatever reason it allows us to make profit, right? If it's not profit center, it's on the back burner unless there's some kind of regulation or stipulation or demand from our customers. So I think in this case, like I do agree with Chris, it already existed, it just wasn't codified somewhere, right? So now they've put it in stone, like you will do X, Y, and Z, and that's probably to push it to the rest of the sector, whether it be private or public or what have you. Most unlikely, DHS and Department of Defense were already doing it. It just wasn't codified, and now it is. But those, regular ports, those private ports owned by regular people, they're going to adopt this as slow as possible because it's going to cost them money. It's cost center. They're just going to, like, as needed. We will do it because the bet is I won't get hit. Right? That's what they're gambling. I won't get hit. I'll implement this as necessary. And that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, like there's no way to make it happen any faster than like what the COSIs just did, right? By codifying it and putting it into a framework. Now it's something that can be pushed onto the private sector. That's how I interpret it.
And see, my thinking is that if it was mandatory, there'd be no reason to put this out, right? Like if it was already being done, there would be no reason to say now it's mandatory, right? Because like I don't know, maybe it's just my thinking.
Things change, Shannon. Like it's got, people switch up, my management or organizational styles all the time, right? So it's just to me, it's just a managerial operational visibility thing. It's probably being done, right? I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
It may have been somebody who came in from a different sector and came in there and was like, what is this? Like you have all these processes, but they're not under one umbrella. So I'm used to seeing it this way, and now they've made it happen in that way. The same thing when you flip through CISOs in the organization. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I was doing consulting work, like a CISO will come in and be like, I need to change X, Y, and Z to not only make the organization better, but I need to mitigate my own risk. Like whomever was doing this before, if they even existed, right? Some organizations didn't have that position or what have you. I need to fix this for my own runway so I can ensure that I don't get, axed because we're not doing this, but also it shows, my performance. So that should increase my percentage for the upcoming bonus period, but also it mitigates my risk, right? So this can't be hung on me from the organization. So, and that's why it's a good idea to flip through different management styles, I believe, in larger organizations, because you're like, let's say finance for instance, like you come from a JP and then you come over to Wells, and you go from a Wells to a Truist, or you go from a Truist to a Capital One. Like, is you able to cycle this information based upon, whether it be best practice, or you got hit with a, regulatory fine or whatever, and then you discovered that, oh, we should be doing it this way. So I think it's a good idea to cycle those people through the different organizations, because they build better systems, and you kind of weed out the people who don't, right? They're like, yo, you just came from over here. And over here just got slapped by, FFIEC or FRB or OCC, NYDFS. Like your name is, associated with something bad. So I think it's good to cycle through these people to make the organization better. So I think that's what happened here. In other words, to bring it full circle, I think somebody came in and said, hey, you are doing these things, but it's not being handled in an orderly, efficient way. So let's, fix it. Or, there are gaps. Like, right, they went through and they found gaps, and they were like, okay, I came from the Navy, right? I came from Big Navy. What do you call it? Big Blue? Is that what you guys call it? I don't know.
We say Big Navy.
You say Big Navy? I came from Big Navy. All right. We
Big
need
Blue
to
is you guys, right?
Yeah, Big Blue is us. I was like, oh, you got water's blue, sky's blue, different colors blue.
That's right.
So you're like, hey, fix this, or do this or change this. I see this as a positive, as a net positive, and hopefully it gets pushed to the private sector. But man, Shannon,
It's definitely a positive. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. I don't want to go around smacking people like Arsenio Hall on Chappelle Show. You know what I mean? Like it's good cheese. You know what I mean?
Like you're walking around these, like for you when you or us when we're in there as well, right? You're walking through all these orderly organizations, and then once you exit, right? You hit the your little clicky thing on the door, and you exit and walk out. It's Fallout. It's looking rough out here, right? It's like it's so apocalypse. They're trying to rebuild their cities out here. All right, it's a little rough. I digress. So, how was everybody's week? Or Chris, you've been gone for a minute, so we gotta get a
Yeah,
couple of your
let's
weeks.
start with you, Chris. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, let's see here. Media wise, it's been, I haven't been really watching a lot of TV, to be honest with you. We started watching a little bit of anime. Some of our, Freyren came out, with the new season. We started watching another one. It's like one of those isekai ones, but it's what was it? Ascendance of a Bookworm. It's like a little cute little anime. It's really nice. And we started watching a show on Apple TV called Pachinko. It's really good. It's a book about. It's in subtitles. It's in three languages: Korean, English, and Japanese. Right. So it goes over a story of a Korean woman, that grew up in I think it was she was the latest timeline was in 1989, but she grew up in like the 20s, right? Living through Japanese occupation, and it goes over kind of that family line. It's really interesting, and it's really like a overlooked part of our World War II history. It's like, hey, it's the Korean side, like, hey, because Japan was actually, imperialist Japan. They had occupied so many countries in Asia, and how they were treating the Koreans at the time, or it's pretty bad, right? But that's the outcome of an imperialist organization, like a country at the time, right? So that's how they were. At least, this is from a Korean perspective. I think it's a really good show. We're through like the first 6 episodes. There's only 2 seasons out. I'm hoping the third season comes out. But I heard that it may not due to lack of viewership. And I really think that it's due to just the lack of just like marketing and messaging around it, right? Like Ted Lasso had a lot of messaging, Severance had a lot of messaging, but Pachinko didn't. And like it's at the same level of quality in filmography. It's like with videography. It's amazing. And there's some cool themes on there, like about family, about working hard, about it's fantastic. It's great. It's a great show. So that's kind of it on the media end. Video game wise, I've been playing WoW. I've slowed down a lot just because I hit 80 or 90 on my character, and I've been doing some of the things and started doing a few dungeons, and it's just like you're at the point where you're just like kind of grinding for better gear, like in like Diablo, right? Where you get harder and harder. I forgot what it's called. You can get harder and harder keys, and you go to more difficult dungeons, right? As a group. So I do the tank role. I like that. You get a lot of grief if you don't do it the right way. Everybody's like, you suck, blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm getting a little tired of that, right? So I'm just doing it. Luckily, you can select groups based on how the competitiveness is. I'm just like, hey, I'm in the relaxed group. I'm not like, I don't care. I don't got time to be competitive. I'm freaking old. But yeah, that's that. Yeah, got some, travel coming up, going up to Pennsylvania for a wedding, but nothing exciting, right? We are probably sticking to traveling within the US this year. I'll keep it at that. So, that's been my few months here, or a few weeks.
Nice. So for me, I'll tell you this, Chris, you inspired me to watch something I hadn't watched before. When you sent that thing out, it was like maybe 10 seconds. It was the comparison between with Jujutsu Kaisen and
Kaizen, yeah,
Invincible
Jujutsu
Kaisen
Kaisen, yeah.
and the
And Invincible.
Invincible, and like the amount of money it was paid. Like the scene that they showed that was like a K or whatever, what they put into the animation. I was like, that looks fire. It got me watching it. I'm like 5 episodes.
Jujutsu Kaisen is exactly what you would like, Shannon. It is a battle
Bro,
anime.
yeah,
It's
I'm
fantastic.
five episodes in, and like my son, I was talking to him about it yesterday, as a matter of fact. And he's like, "Who's your favorite character?" I was like, "I've only seen him really fight in the first one. Is Goju, the guy with the blindfold?" I was like, I was like, he's
The
like, "Well,
goat.
yeah, that's what he said. He's like their Superman." And he was like, "You will see him more later on." He's like, "But you're not gonna see him all the time." Like, but I'm like, all right, I'm gonna keep watching. But like when I saw him in the first episode, because like he's funny too, right? Because he's stretching, you know what I mean? And he's like, "Yeah, let me see what you got," you know what I mean? I'm like, what? Okay, but yeah, so I started watching that, and I'm gonna get some more in today, as a matter of fact. So
Have you seen
appreciate
this?
it.
Have you seen Solo Leveling? You'd like that one too.
Mm-mm.
You
No,
need to watch Solo
Yeah,
Leveling.
that's a good one.
You
Yeah.
you would, yeah, like, if you like Jujutsu Kaisen, you like Solo Leveling. It's exactly what you like.
I'll see if it's streaming somewhere that I have, because I'm gonna say this one. Am I watching this one on Disney? What am I watching this one on?
Yeah,
I'm watching
probably
it on.
like through Hulu. Yeah, through
Yeah,
Disney. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It is Hulu. Actually, it is. I'm watching it through Disney, and it says you have this because of your Hulu subscription or something like that. It says on it, so it's probably on Hulu too. But that's what I'm watching it through. So appreciate it, Chris. Appreciate it. Just sharing
Yeah,
that
you got me
little
thinking
10
about
second
more.
clip.
I wanted to get started. I saw another interesting one. I use Crunchyroll because they've got all the anime. But Hell's Paradise, Ryan, have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I'm 2 or 3 episodes into it.
What do you think of it? I'm like, oh,
I,
this looks cool. Like
I like I
it's
like it.
got
Yeah.
that, and then another one I actually haven't seen. It was Chainsaw Man. Have you seen that one?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I went and saw the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm invested.
I need to start watching those. Those are nice little battle manga or anime.
My son went and saw it. My older son went and saw it in the movie theater too. They came out with the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I took the boys. Instantly regretted it. Taking the little one. I was like, oh no. It wasn't that bad though.
He's like, yes, thanks, Dad.
Theater looking at you like, what have you happened here? Like mind your business. Now you like what's her name? Ashley from
Oh yeah. Just
My
mind your
Friend.
business.
Mind
That's
your
all.
business.
Just mind
Mind
your
your
business.
business. That's all. So yeah, started watching that. I got caught up on Invincible. It got better. So I won't say it was last week or maybe a week before. I was like, I don't know about this fourth season. Well, they starting to make up for it. Because I like anybody who's out there on social media, you'll see where like apparently the thing to say is that Thrag was a fraud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is not a fraud. He is not a fraud. And it seemed like it, right? Because there's like in the episode, you're like, wait a minute, this guy's supposed to be the big bad right here? Like, what is going on here? You know, he out here
They
acting like
they
this.
ultimately they're gonna have to cheat. He is an unstoppable force.
Yeah, there's no way they get around it without like a million people. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. But yeah, so I got caught up on that. That's kind of it. Like I've been doing a lot of media. I haven't played any games in a long time. Every time I turn the PlayStation on, I see it's been like 4 months since I played uh Ghost of Yote. I'm like, I gotta finish this because at 90 it says I'm at 90%. I got 90%. I'm
You're
like,
right
I
there.
gotta finish this
You're right
out.
there.
Yeah, I gotta do it. But yeah, that's kind of it. I don't think I've watched anything else other than that. What about you, Ryan?
So I'm caught up on Invincible. I am not caught up on the Pit. I think the last episode just happened, so I watched that today. Game wise, I've been playing a game on Game Pass called Replaced. So I wrote a little bit about it in the newsletter. I like it. It's like one of those. It's a callback to the 2D platformers. This one is like very much cyberpunk, like Blade Runner infused, but because of new technology, right? Like the engine allows for it to have HDR and ray tracing, as well as this really interesting diorama effect, like parallax effect. I really like it. When it comes to the combat in it, it seems a little simple, so I'm sure it'll ramp up over time. But like if you're looking for like the Batman series, right? Because like you'll see indicators over the enemy's head, so you know, okay, if it turns this color, I hit Y. If it turns this color, I hit B. But it doesn't really seem to be as advanced, but that's okay. I'm really there for the story and the atmosphere because it's very pretty. So I'm playing through that a little bit. I assume it's going to be short, so I'm not really try to knock it out. But the big game for me right now is Pragmata. So it's a new IP by Capcom using the RE engine. So it's gorgeous, and you're a not an astronaut, but you're part of a crew that goes to space to go fix. There's like a communication issue between you and the moon base, and when you get up there, obviously things go awry, right? But it's super pretty. The storyline so far is pretty cool, and the mechanic that they do is like a third person shooter, but you're also there's a puzzle mechanic on top of it, right? Like the things that are attacking you are invulnerable, and you have to do these like quick time puzzle things to unlock them to then do the damage with your weapon. So far, I'm really feeling it. Like it's a lot of fun. The shooting feels good. You actually have to think a little bit, right, in these combat scenarios, like which person, because it's all in real time, right? Nothing's slowing down, so you got to like which robot am I going to attack? What kind of loadout I'm going to have, right? It's like you start to unlock skills where you can unlock multiple enemies if they're the same type of enemy by unlocking one, like it'll chain to the other ones next to it, right? So you have to kind of like think and like what type of weapons work best against what type of enemy. So I like it. Like there's a demo out there. So if you're interested in it, it's called Pragmata. There's like a probably like a 20, 30 minute demo. And your progress carries over. It's not a waste of your time. Movie wise, nothing right now. I'm trying to I'm jonesing for something scary. So I'm probably gonna try to find a scary movie I haven't watched yet.
Can I ask you guys something? I saw a couple trailers and I'm like, I don't know. Have you guys seen the Supergirl trailer?
I did. I was more interested before the trailer.
Did not. No.
So there's been two. The very first one I saw had me interested. When I saw the second one, a guy I know from the gym actually hit me up and was like, he was telling me something, and I was like, I don't think we saw the same trailer. So then I saw the second one they came out with, and he was like, it's like John Wick in space. Something happens to the dog. Like I'm not ruining it. It's in the trailer. Like
Right.
something
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, she's wilding out, and I'm like, when I saw the second trailer, I'm less interested in it than when I saw the first one. So I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know. We got to see. I know there will be another one before it releases, right? They'll do a third one that'll probably, have the better, supposedly will have the better stuff in it, but I'm like, we'll see.
I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt only because I like Superman. So I
Yeah.
liked that Superman movie, and I did not expect to like it. So I'm gonna
And,
give it the
and
benefit
I'm
of the
on
doubt
the
on this.
opposite side. I think that's why maybe I'm cautious because I didn't like it as much as everybody else did. And I watched it twice. I was like, just to make sure. So maybe that's why I'm a little, but the gun is not directing this one, though, I don't think. For
No,
Superman.
no, he's
I don't
not.
think he's the director, it's somebody different.
Yeah,
Yeah. But the other one is the Street Fighter one. Have you guys seen the Street Fighter trailer?
yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
really
What
cool.
y'all think of
Really
that?
cool.
It's
I'm not
as campy. It's as campy as I was hoping it would be. Like,
Exactly.
because Mortal Kombat takes itself real serious in the movies, right?
Yeah.
And I like Street Fighter it cannot be serious. So I like that they're leaning into the not serious. Like this is so impractical. So for them to lean into that, I'm like, okay, I like kind of like that. So we'll
I
see.
don't know, man. I'm not really feeling it, but I'm like, I will probably give it a chance. I may not go to the theater to see it, but like when it goes out to whatever streaming service it is, I don't know what Capcom, I don't know what deal they have. What is that going to be? Hulu, HBO Max?
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. Yeah, I was thinking Warner Brothers maybe, but I don't know if like Capcom's not tied to any of them. So, or it could be Netflix. I remember the Resident Evil movies went to Netflix at one point, so maybe that's their. I don't know.
Maybe, but I don't know. Like everybody else seems to be feeling it, and I'm like, I don't know. 50 is Balrog. I'm not even sold on that. People are like,
Oh
oh, that's a good
man,
casting. I'm like, no.
is it because it's so out of the like the only person that could have been aside like I thought 50 was an interesting casting, but I was like they can't bring back Mike. Mike's too old, right? So there's
Yeah, no.
no.
I mean,
That's
literally, it was
yeah
he was based off Mike,
yeah.
right? So it's like there's
Yeah.
really so few people that can actually play ball.
Yeah, I was like, it's either him or the dude who played Mike in the Hulu documentary, or the you know, what I mean,
That's true.
it's only so many people who play
Or
the person.
Michael Jai White. Michael Jai White. You could bring him back to do it again because he did the HBO one.
He
I don't know
did.
if you ever. I don't know if you ever saw that.
He's giant though, so I don't know. I don't know. You have to play with the camera perspective or something. But I'm interested. So I don't know if I'll see it in the theaters. I probably will try only because of how vibrant it looks. I kind of want to see that in the theater.
You want to go see some IMAX with that, huh? You like, I gotta see
Yeah, I think
all
that's a
around
reason to
me.
spend a little bit of money to go see. Yeah, because it looks super pretty. But we'll see. I mean, it could be trash. But I just don't think they could do a serious movie. It just would not. It would not work.
I don't need it. I don't need it to be serious, and I don't mind the humor in it. I don't know. It's just other stuff about it. When I saw it, man, I'm just like, and the thing is, I know they're keeping true to form because like if you remember the 90, what was it 95, 96? What was the other one? 94 might have
The
been the
movie,
original.
yeah, the
Yeah, the
Street Fighter,
original with
the Street Fighter, the movie.
yeah, with Van Damme in it.
Yeah,
He didn't have like he just had a flat top, right? But like the
yeah,
guy now that's playing Guile, I think he's a
yeah.
wrestler. I think it's Cody
Cody
Rhodes.
Rhodes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like that Guile cut is like
yeah,
it's way up there. I'm like, okay,
yeah. I
I'm
was like,
feeling that, you know?
that's what we expect to see.
Yeah. But like
And
E
then you got
Honda
Jason
doesn't look that
Momoa.
big. Jason Momoa's
Yeah,
Blanca, yeah, that was kind of
yeah, it's
cool. But
Blanca.
that's going to be a lot of CGI though, right? Like he's not going to be. I don't think, right? Because think of his
Right.
moves. Like you're not going to have Blanca
Oh, like spin it into a ball.
yeah, electricity. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to have all that. But like even E Honda, that guy wasn't big enough. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like,
Yo, it's got to be a real sumo wrestler if you're
I
talking E Honda.
get it. Like and like
E Honda is huge in the game. He's like a
yes,
gigantic
you can find a
Japanese
suit.
jacked guy. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. So a sumo guy who could do a little acting.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
because like because I imagine
Like a
you're
Rikishi.
Yeah, Rikishi. Yeah, Rikishi.
Wasn't he
Yokozuna.
yeah,
Exactly.
Rikishi's
Yeah.
actually like Polynesian, right?
Yeah, he's
He's
Yeah, he's
Polynesian.
not. Yeah,
yeah,
he's not. Yeah,
it's hilarious. I didn't know that till
I
they
think he's
said it
related to
recently.
Dwayne Johnson in
I was
some
like,
way
that's
now. Yeah.
hilarious.
it's wild. Wrestling used to do stuff like that all the time, man. Like if you got Vince McMahon come out there in a do rag, you know they don't care about
Man,
being politically correct. You know what I mean? It's just like,
wild,
yeah.
wild stuff.
But I was curious on y'all stances on those trailers, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I'm also interested in the Mortal Kombat movie. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like the first, well, not the first one, but the most recent one, I thought was interesting. Like, I thought they did a really good job. They made up a dude though as the protagonist. Like, you could just use anybody, right? But they had to make up a guy. So I'm interested to see where they go with it. For the second one. And I like oh boy from the boys. What's his name? The dude who's playing Johnny Cage in this one. Something. Oh man. It'll come back to me as I'm talking, hopefully.
I've
But
seen them, but I haven't watched The Boys in
yeah,
years.
I like him as an actor, so I think it's a good fit for the character. Um, but then lastly, so I went to an event yesterday. It's called Tech in Full Effect. And it was on Interbay, done by the Stats on Stats, um, Tiffany and Jordan. Amazing event. So every event they do is fire. So I went there to, it's going to be a meet and greet between tech professionals, and it was like 30 or 40 of us actually showed up. It was a very nice venue, right? It was like one of those mini mansions off of Interbay. Like Chris knows what I'm talking about. When you're driving down by Bayshore, they have all these gorgeous villas just by the base, right? So I was in one of those and got to meet a lot of people, right? Like, so I got to like meet a lot of people who are in the industry who are in Tampa or Greater Tampa area. So it was a great event. Like, it's about 2.5 hours, right? They had a DJ, food, drinks, and just networking. We played some games. I had like a little R&B game that they played. Really cool prizes. I didn't win any, but I had a really good time. So I can't wait for the next one that they put on. And then the last thing is on May 15th. I'll be at Tampa B-Sides. I'll be on a panel. So if you are in the Tampa area, please attend. That'd be great to meet you in real life. So super excited about that as well. But that does it for me, man. Like, I'm gonna go mow the lawn and I'm play some more Pragmata. It's gonna be my Sunday. So I'll land this plane. So thank you to everybody who's been tuning in. Please continue to check us out. We are on WDJY 99.1 FM in the Atlanta metro area or the TuneIn app worldwide. You can also listen to us on your podcast platform of choice, as well as you can now watch video on YouTube and Spotify. Definitely check us out. Hit up the websites that go by our name. Go to the other side of the firewall.com if you want to purchase the guide, as well as you can leave my personal branded page on RyanWilliamsSenior.com. And where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Abacon, last name spelled A Bacon.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.